There's another time where I channeled him recently and he was talking about Game of Thrones weather, in the snowy tundra, and there's snow coming at your face and it's really cold and you're making it through. It's going to get pretty Games of Thrones out there is what he said. So, if we can't laugh about it, who can? Because we are literally, probably, most definitely the only ones that are. Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm going to be channeling Archangel Michael today here on my Facebook page, Kristin Davies. He has something that he would like to relay to us, so he's chosen the topic, which is what will be unfolding on Earth in the future. I was in the middle of eating breakfast this morning. He said to me, this might be more of a serious one today. I was like, what? I'm like in mid-stroke of eating. A little too serious for breakfast time. But, sometimes he just likes to forewarn and let me know of what's coming and what he'd like to say. So that's good too. He likes to catch me off guard. You know what I notice about Archangel Michael? If there's ever a moment where you're uncomfortable, it's usually those moments where you stretch yourself, and that's where growth comes. And I really noticed that Archangel Michael loves it. He wants to talk about what's going to unfold on Earth over the next 5 years, and he's giving me this hand gesture for 5 years time. It's really important that we know where we're heading in order to position ourselves accordingly, in order to keep the raft or the boat stable. And he's almost like showing some of us standing with our legs together, and the boat's going to be too rocky for us. So he's wanting to have today's live and talk about this topic so that we can just spread part our legs just a bit to keep more stable for what is to come with the choppy weather ahead. There's another time where I channeled him recently and he was talking about Game of Thrones weather, in the snowy tundra, and there's snow coming at your face and it's really cold and you're making it through. It's going to get pretty Games of Thrones out there is what he said. So, if we can't laugh about it, who can? Because we are literally, probably, most definitely the only ones that are. I keep hearing this repeatedly from the angels, so I'm really going to dig in on this because I haven't yet. And he's saying the same thing, which is really cherish the experiences and the moments that you're having here on Earth, for they will not last forever. And why is it that I keep hearing this throughout almost every reading that I'm giving these days? It seems like 3 to 4 weeks non-stop of me relaying that message. He says, because as you have seen, things have changed drastically over a short period of time, and what is going to unfold over the next 5 years will also bring about great change globally. And this is why he would like to speak with us today, in order for us to keep more of a balance by parting our legs and making sure the raft doesn't get too rocky for us. So I really appreciate that. Some changes we may not see as being good. We're like, this sucks. Other changes we may like, depending on which end of the stick we are on when it is drawn. Okay? So if you think, maybe for the tenants out there, we feel like we're getting the shitty end of the stick, whereas the landlords out here, they may feel like, they're just lapping up. Depending, of course, on where they live, depending on what their rentals are all about, depending on. So he says, depending on where you are, you might see these changes as being like amazing, and you might see these changes being really not good. No matter how you view it, one thing is for sure, change is afoot. And he just wants to forewarn us that there is going to be rapid change, and a lot of it, over the next 5 years. Similar or like what we have already experienced since 2020. He says there's a lot of unveiling. There's a lot of bringing darkness or poor behaviors, manipulation, tactics, etc., to the surface in order for it to be seen by everyone. And in order to bring this darkness to the surface, things have to get ruffled. The other part of this that he'd like us to hear is the same thing my own guardian angel has relayed to me, that's correct, repeatedly, which is much of the changes that we're seeing and the things that are being spoken about, like he's talking about pedophilia, like we never talked about that growing up. Heck, we didn't talk about that prior to some of the material, movies and such, coming out on for us to view. Nobody was really talking about it, okay? And now all of a sudden, you have people that are professionals going after these people, talking openly on camera about what they've found and what pedos are looking for, and etc., etc. It just goes on and on and on. So this is an example of bringing things to the surface, bringing them to light in order to inform and educate the masses. So not all change they consider to be bad. And some of these changes are unfolding in order for us to produce rules, regulations put in place so that it brings about balance. Rental market is one of these things that is now out of balance. And in order to bring it back into balance, and in order to procure higher earnings, higher wages over the years to come, to bring it back into balance, he doesn't see rents going down very much. And in some areas, they won't go down at all. And depending on where you live, and depending on the amount of housing that is available, equaling or equating to the number of migrants coming into your country, etc., etc. It's a matter of, do we have enough? And when there isn't enough, then the owners of these rentals can upmarket what they have to offer. So he just wants to remind us that some of these changes that we may not enjoy or like are happening in order to bring about changes that Spirit feels would be better for those of us, better quality of life, better earnings. Maybe we're negotiating medical benefits, dental benefits, and we're going to have to champion and rally ourselves in order to get this. Also, the other thing he's talking about, and he's also talking about bringing back into balance. Okay, when things are out of balance, then you find a way of bringing things into balance so that this situation is not repeated in the future. And the other thing he's talking about is, here's another example of out of balance. The migrants just flooding in, and also not certain where they come from or what they've been up to. But if, depending on the viewpoint that you view it on, which end of the stick are we viewing this? From the viewpoint of the migrants, they think that they've got it made until they see that they are being used as a pawn in a much larger scheme by the government. But still, he says, for those who are willing to put in the grunt work and cling to staying in these more first world countries, they may carve out a better life for themselves, but many will return home. But just as quickly as they will return home, many will flood the country over the border back into the country, okay? So some are going to leave and go home, and then others are going to think it's great and come on in. I really see by summer. Is this at summer or is it by summer? I really see June, the month of June. And so, that's what I channeled in December. I said 6 months is when things are going to lock down at the border more so. And we are taking things into our own hands. And he's applauding that. Oh, is he applauding that? Us taking things into our own hands and stepping forth because we can see with clarity what's going on. And if we don't secure things, nobody will. He thinks it's fun, like humorous, that the U.S. government's giving money away like it's water. But when it came to like using the money to secure its own border, no. And now it's using a tactic that it's trying to get money to secure its own border. It's just a ring around the rosy. It's a game. And it's to suit itself. He's showing me Trump. And then I see Trump pulling away from me. And I'm seeing him going into oblivion. Pulled away, not seen anymore. And then I'm hearing his time has come. These individuals in power at this time will do anything and use any tactic to stay in power. And so shall they, which is going to ruffle a lot of feathers, and there's going to be a lot of upheaval. So if you live in a highly dense populated area where you know there's a possibility of things kicking off, he says if you're tough enough, you can stay, just keep your eyes open. But if you feel within yourself a strong desire to relocate, whether temporarily or permanently, please do so. So if you get a strong nudging to go and move somewhere, do it. Like, don't delay. He says that many of us are really lucky because we're more of the conscious, awake ones. And there's a lot of unconsciousness taking place. And a lot of people doing the same old without tapping in and tuning in to see if it is feeling right or feeling best. So he highly recommends that we go within and see what our intuition, our gut feeling is telling us. He says if you feel drawn to having a reading, either with myself or with someone else, then please do so to get more direct guidance. Or sit and feel your intuition. What is your gut feeling telling you? He says you can ask him a question in your mind or out loud and then sit and feel your body. If it feels tight and uncomfortable and your body feels heavy, your chakras are getting pinched off, that is him creating a no answer in your body. If your chakras are relaxed or open, your chest feels good, you feel light, you feel like you could get out of the chair, that's a yes. But if you get this response, okay, and that could be tight, open in your chest and your stomach, that is, you can if you wish, but we'd rather you wait. And he highly recommends that you begin practicing this because there's a lot being stirred in the pot in the days to come here on earth. And it's best that you pinpoint with accuracy what action steps are best to take at this time and continuously over the next several years. He's giving me the hand of a 5 again, 5 years. He keeps showing me that the U.S. or whoever is running the U.S., okay, I'm sure it's a lot of people. It's not Joe Biden. We know that. Okay, but there's a whole party of people. What he's showing me is that the U.S. uses maneuvering and tactics to keep itself ahead of the game. It keeps its dollar higher. It keeps itself in control and in charge. And it will continue to do this moving forward. And in the days ahead, the U.S. will find a way repeatedly to keep itself in the forefront. If you think that they're making poor decisions or they're making decisions that don't make sense, that's not the case. They know exactly what they're doing. And there's choices and decisions that the U.S. is making that is like a game or a chess piece or tactics in order to benefit itself. We've got this side of things where it's the people using whatever it takes, maneuvering, manipulation, tactics, game, chess pieces to keep the USA on top and in the forefront. Now we have the other side. And the other side, which is not necessarily tied to these behaviors from these people, but at some point, in order to keep one's self in the forefront, in charge, in command, using these tactics. Some of these are the kinds of tactics that may be the only way to keep oneself in command. Playing dirty. Okay, but when we look at this side, this is spirit. And spirit is funneling a lot of light through the planet and certain locations on the planet. And one of these locations that spirit is funneling the light to is the west coast of the US. I do see Canada straight down the US. When I've asked if it goes straight down to Mexico, what I hear is no, the vibrational frequency there is not ready for more light being penetrated there at this level or concentration. They're giving me a thumbs up. Okay, so in order for the light to continue building itself, it must keep the energy flowing. It must continue to keep on top. It must keep the inhabitants well looked after and taken care of. Okay. So if we fell back and we lost, maybe we even went into more socialism or communism, the people wouldn't be as happy. People wouldn't be taken care of. We may have food shortages, etc. But that's not going to happen. And the light doesn't want it to happen because everyone along the West Coast throughout the US needs to be taken care of and bringing about better quality of life. Also, the other reason is because we have a lot of souls that are ready to come to Earth. Isn't that funny how we're literally looking at possible World War III and we're talking about souls wanting to come to Earth? But that's the case. We have a lot of souls that want to come to Earth and they're ready to... what I see with these souls is that they're extremely high vibrational, okay? They're here to tip the scale and move us in a direction where we wouldn't even dream of thinking about war in the years, if not generations ahead. But when these souls come in, they're going to change things. They're going to move things in a different direction. And what I'm getting is that in order to procure and secure an area that is best suited for these high vibrational souls to be looked after, nurtured, taken care of, we need an area on the map that has a better quality of living, happy, high vibrational people. They're showing me people smiling and content. And they're going to start this. Well, they already have, but it's going to continue to influx. So increase as we move along throughout the west coast of the US and Canada. And I've really noticed that during my readings, they really want women to have babies like crazy. Like in these regions, it's go time. It's a way of the light getting the area ready for more souls that are very high vibrational or more light to bombard and secure these areas. So in this respect, on this forefront, we wish that there weren't these tactics being played in order to secure this country and these countries. However, the light is ready to increase here on earth. So there's this unveiling of the darkness for all us to see what's really going on, and it really ask questions and really delve in and want to learn more, rather than just sitting in front of the boob tube and listening to the traditional news just telling you what they want you to hear. Thank God for TikTok in that regard, and Instagram. But it's important for us to question things and wake up as to what is really going on. Who's in charge? Who's in control? Who's in power? The few or the many? The many, the mighty. So there's going to be some turbulence coming up. I got my guardian angel chiming in here, so I'm just listening to her now. I'm like, whoever's talking, I'll just channel. So there's going to be some turbulence coming up over the next 5 years. A lot of turbulence. It's seriously, that's she says it's going to make the last 3 years, or 3 to 4 years from 2020 seem like a starter. So if that's a starter, what the heck is the next 5 years going to procure, right? Don't worry. Just part your legs a little bit and secure your balance, okay? And ask questions as to what is best. Follow your intuition, follow your gut feeling, and don't sink back on your laurels and completely ignore what's going on. But at the same time, don't immerse yourself so much that it rocks your boat even more and you get even more worked up and you're watching TikToks after TikToks freaking out. There's an example. Also, she wants to remind you, believe and ye shall receive, which is you are the manifester of your reality. So no matter what is transpiring around you, if you fixate to it and you drop your frequency, whether it's the news or TikTok videos or anything, it doesn't matter what it is. If you keep going there enough, you add your energy to it. And what she wants you to consider is giving thought to what you want to create more of. What is it that you want, rather than, ugh, I don't like that. And then talking about it and focusing on what you don't like. That's what the unconscious ones do. So we get to decide whether we're going to be more unconscious about it, or we're going to be more conscious, deliberate creators, manifestors. What is it that you want? Start listing it off in your mind to your team so that they can get busy and get to work. Okay? I used to think that was so hokey in the past. And then I started, you get to a point where you're like, okay, let's try it. And then you watch as it starts to happen. And you're like, all right, I'm listening. I'm paying attention. Things have improved. They're getting better. It's a lot better because I asked for help. That's why. Don't put your head in the sand like an ostrich. But at the same time, don't fixate on your screens about it. That comes from Archangel Michael. The other awesome course that's coming for 2 weeks for only $111. Who else is offering that? No one. Literally no one. Okay? I want you guys to learn how to channel. Okay? The Mediumship for Beginners course is coming up April 15th until the 29th for 2 weeks. 7 live practice sessions with a lot of pre-recorded material with ebook, all sent to you for you to download after the class. So the whole thing is saved for you, and that's coming up in April. So I highly recommend that one. You guys want to go to KristinDaviesMedium.com. I will see you really soon. Love you guys. Bye.